Well, there's something rotten in the state of D.C. Now, when I say rotten in the state of D.C., I mean more rotten than usual in the state of D.C. Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Whittle here with Steve Green and Scott Ott, and this is your right angle on the un-American, unprecedented, unbelievable effort to cling to power by the part of Barack Obama and the progressives. And we have some actual evidence. You know, guys, we've talked about this before. I live in... the only thing I'm really paranoid is becoming paranoid. We've so many times we've done shows where we said there's so much actual evil being done on the part of the Obama administration. We don't need to invent things that aren't true just to destroy, our credibility. So when we talk about things like a shadow government or a counter-revolution or all the rest of it, these are terms that make me very, very nervous. However, there is some evidence that's undeniable. So let's just count just a couple of them. Unlike every other president since probably the Civil War, Barack Obama did not go back home to Chicago after his presidency to live out in dignified silence and let the next guy do the job. Probably didn't want to go back to Chicago because he was worried he'd get shot there by the city run by his former campaign advisor. No, Barack Obama bought a house in Washington, D.C. That's an absolute fact. He decided to stay in D.C. His former Organizing for America is now something like Organizing for Action. That's a fact. Valerie Jarrett, rather. His former closest advisor, with close ties to Iran and all the rest of it, has moved not into the office that Barack Obama's in, but moved into his house. And then we find Eric Holder says, oh, don't worry, he's coming back. He's coming roaring back. He'll be back in the fight just real soon. Just hang on. 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever, after he left the fight, he's going to come roaring back into the fight. Now, all of this is data. This isn't just conjecture. This is data. This is evidence. Steve, let's start with you. We've seen from the moment of Donald Trump's election attempts to delegitimize him in the street and talking about the popular vote and all the rest of it. And then almost immediately after his inauguration, we find all these mystery leaks that are revealing things about conversations and so on and so forth. And the expression that a lot of people have used is that Obama has left landmines in the way of Donald Trump in order to slow his progress and delegitimize him. Does that seem fair to you?
Oh, not only does it seem fair, but this is what we expected. We've been talking about this since November 9 when we did our first shows after Trump won the election. Look, Bill Clinton left some little landmines for George Bush. He signed some regulations mandating some impossible water cleanliness restrictions that W then rescinded. And, he took the political heat for it, and it was over. And he went on with his presidency, such as it was. But what Obama is attempting to do is delegitimize a president, but it's really more than that. It's deeper than that. It's worse than that. He's delegitimizing the very institutions that he once swore an oath to uphold. He is literally attempting to ruin this country. Not just the crap he did while he was president, not just signing away parts of the Middle East to Russia and the rest to Iran, not any of the stuff that he did. But this is attacking our very institutions from the outside, and he's doing it in such a way, and with the power that we give, the warm feeling that we give to former presidents. I don't know, Bill. I don't know how we undo this damage. Maybe Trump ends up getting what he wants. Maybe the GOP Congress clears him, whatever. But the fact remains that the damage is real, and I don't know how we fix it.
Scotty, just as we record this today, earlier today, there was a Wikileaks released a vast trove of information about the CIA. Something like 3 times as much information as was released with Snowden's case. And we find out that the CIA has all means of spying on American people, that they can turn on your smartphone in such a way that it can hear you speaking and record your conversation, all the rest. The same thing for your TV and so on. And then we find these leaks that are damaging to President Trump, and we had leaks that were damaging to President Obama and Secretary Clinton and so on. Do you think that it's that Obama's negligence and his gross disregard for national security, he sent emails to Hillary Clinton's unsecure server. We never talk about this, but it's obviously true. He used a silly alias. Do you think that these intelligence services and all the rest of the government that's supposed to function well beneath the floor, behind the curtains there, do you think that this whole thing has just gotten completely rotten to the core, and can it be cleaned out?
That's kind of a hard question to answer because in a sense, I believe that there is a whole government that really never changes when the sides change. And these people, while they portray themselves as being political, they're not political appointees. They're just bureaucrats doing their jobs and stuff like that. In reality, they are political appointees in the sense that their whole well-being, their whole lives depend on politics. They have to have this battle going on between Republicans and Democrats for anybody to even care enough to have such a massive centralized government. Otherwise, they'd all be home. I mean, if Republicans had any guts, they'd go in there and clean house on day one. They'd say, I want to see every resignation letter on my desk tomorrow morning of all 2 million employees or whatever it is, and we will rehire those whom we find it is appropriate to rehire. Come on, the government can shut down for weeks, for months. It wouldn't make any difference, and we can rehire those. So I do not have, however, this fear that there's some deep, dark government out there that is secretly doing things that we don't know about. I have no fear of Barack Obama. In fact, I think that, largely he's staying in Washington, D.C. so his daughter can finish school. I'm okay with that. But even if he's staying in Washington, D.C. because he wants to form a powerful new political action committee to completely undermine the presidency of Donald Trump, he's an American citizen. Go for it. We're not afraid of Barack Obama. We need to be able to stand up with our own spines and say, okay, whoever's advancing these ideas, I don't care if it's Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, or, Saul Alinsky, we're going to stand up against these ideas. And we're not going to be, caught up in the Alex Jones fervor of, or Breitbart's fervor or Jim Hoft's fervor at Gateway Pundit now of basically saying, oh, there's this secret government thing going on and we all have to be, afraid of it. We don't have to be afraid of nothing. All we need to do is stand up for our principles, hold our people's feet to the fire, demand that our government does what it's supposed to do, and throw them out of office if they don't.
Hey, Scott, I got to disagree with you on one part. Former President
one?
Obama is not just really one. He is not just a private citizen. He remains on the public payroll with his presidential. And he has all the trappings. Well, so do I. But he enjoys all the trappings of the office of former president, the unofficial position that we grant to our retired presidents. And so, no, he's not just another private citizen. He brings with him a lot of baggage and a lot of firepower, and he's just getting started.
That would ultimately, Steve, utterly transform the presidency if we said, you know what, when you serve in the presidency, we'll protect you because you're president of the United States. After you're done from the presidency, catch an Uber home, baby, because you're on your own.
You're talking about the world that should be. I'm talking about the world that is.
I know. I live in the world that I imagine.
It's a nice place.
It never really fully occurred to me until this discussion just now. I've always thought that the idea that a president, once he's finished with his term, retiring to go home and live in quiet dignity, was just something kind of noble and something worthy of the American Republic and a tradition that has stood for a long time, just out of the general decency and fair play sense of the American people, and then it becomes precedent, and then it becomes history. But I hadn't realized until just now why this is so important. When a president has finished his term, if he does not leave the political scene forever, he remains a rallying point for the policies that have just been rejected by the voters. If Hillary Clinton were president, you wouldn't need Barack Obama in Washington because Hillary Clinton would be doing what Barack Obama would be doing in Washington. But the American people, they just utterly rejected Barack Obama's policies. And not just this last November. They've done it over the last 6 or 7 years. By him remaining in Washington, he is the rallying point for the 50, 60 million people that voted for Hillary Clinton. He's the rallying point for all of the people that don't like Donald Trump. He's the rallying point for all of these faceless bureaucrats who have a sneaking suspicion that their jobs after 35 years of pretty cushy life may in fact be in danger, and they're doing everything they can to sabotage them. There is no law that I can think of that would be applicable in this case. You can't very well say an American president, once you finish being president, you don't get to be a citizen anymore. And obviously decorum, honor, decency, tradition, American integrity mean nothing to these people. So I think Scott is right on some level, We have to just understand that this is how they fight. They did not expect to lose. For the last 8 years, they've been governing as if they would never lose again. There's this lightning bolt from Olympus. Now what they're trying to do is to make sure that this change that they had not expected remains as short as possible and as shallow as possible so they can get back to the work of enslaving everybody in this country under their personal power because they're genetic defectives. There's something wrong with them. They have to tell people what to do. It's going to come down to the American people. It was the American people that won that election for Donald Trump. It'll be the American people that will pester their congressmen to repeal Obamacare, as we talked about in Steve's segment this week. It'll be up to the American people to demand that this doesn't happen. We thought that the battle was over. Some people did. I had a feeling, Steve had a feeling, and Scott had a feeling that on the night of the election, if Donald Trump won, and he did, that the real fight was just beginning, and I suspect that is exactly the case. So we'll keep looking for actual evidence, and when we find it, we're gonna put the pieces together. And when we do that, we're going to have to depend on you. We're going to have to depend on you to make sure that we hold these people accountable and that the messages get out there. That's what we're going to depend on you for. We're in this on our own. We're just the American people, and we can do just about anything, but we got to know what the problem is before we can fix it. Thanks very much for the membership here at BillWhittle.com. Our members keep these messages coming and keep them going out there. If you'd like to become a member, we sure would like to have you at BillWhittle.com. Just hit the Become a Member button. Until next week, I'm Bill Whittle here with Steve Green and Scott Ott. Thanks for watching.